What happens when one of the most talked about women in the world sits down for what should be a simple interview and instead turns it into a total disaster? In just 38 seconds, a single comment would shatter the entire conversation and lead to one of the most shocking moments ever captured on daytime television. Tamron Hall had built her career on asking tough questions while maintaining grace under pressure. Her show had become a safe space for honest conversations, a place where guests could open up without fear of being ambushed. She treated everyone with respect, from everyday people to A-list celebrities. But on this particular day, that respect would be tested in ways she never imagined. Meghan Markle arrived at the studio with an energy that immediately put everyone on edge. The production assistants noticed it first. She swept through the hallways with her team trailing behind, barely acknowledging the staff members who greeted her. Makeup artists would later describe the pre-show atmosphere as tense. Meghan sat in the chair, scrolling through her phone, offering only yes or no answers to questions about her preferences. Tamron, always the professional, entered the green room with a warm smile. "So wonderful to have you here. I'm really looking forward to our conversation." Meghan glanced up briefly. "Let's just get through this." The host's smile faltered for just a moment, but she recovered quickly. "Of course, we'll make it great." As the cameras began rolling, Tamron did what she always did. She started with warmth and genuine curiosity. "Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I know you've been on quite a journey, and I think so many people are interested in hearing your perspective." Meghan settled into her chair, her posture rigid. "Well, Tamron, I appreciate you having me. Though I have to say, I'm a bit surprised you wanted to do this interview at all." Tamron's eyebrows raised slightly. "Oh? Why is that?" "Well, let's be honest. Your show isn't exactly known for the kind of depth I usually prefer in my interviews, but my team thought it might be good to reach a different audience." The host maintained her composure, though something flickered across her face. "I see. Well, I hope we can have a meaningful conversation regardless. I've prepared some questions that I think will allow you to share your story authentically." "Your questions," Meghan repeated, a slight edge to her voice. "Yes, I saw the list your producer sent over. Some of them were, quite frankly, beneath me." Tamron shifted in her seat. "I'm sorry you feel that way. The questions were designed to help our viewers connect with you on a human level." "Connect with me on a human level," Meghan echoed, with a laugh that didn't reach her eyes. "Tamron, do you have any idea how many interviews I've done? How many times I've been asked to explain myself, to defend my choices, to make myself palatable for people who were never going to understand anyway?" "I'm not asking you to defend anything," Tamron said gently. "I'm simply interested in your experience." Meghan leaned forward. "Are you, though? Or are you interested in ratings? Because let's call this what it is. You want me here because my name draws viewers. You want the controversy, the clicks, the social media buzz." The audience had gone completely silent. Tamron took a breath, her professionalism unwavering. "I want you here because I believe you have something to say. And yes, people are interested in hearing from you. That's not a bad thing." "Not a bad thing," Meghan repeated. "Easy for you to say. You're not the one who's been dissected by the media for years. You're not the one who's had every word twisted, every action scrutinized." Tamron's voice remained steady. "Actually, I've faced my share of challenges in this industry. I've dealt with plenty of scrutiny myself, but that's not what we're here to talk about." Meghan's eyes narrowed. "Oh, please, you want to compare your experience to mine? You want to sit there and pretend you understand what I've been through?" "I'm not pretending anything," Tamron said, her patience beginning to show strain. "I'm trying to have a respectful conversation." "Respectful," Meghan said with a bitter laugh. "You know what would be respectful? If you had actually done your homework. If you had asked questions that mattered instead of this surface-level nonsense." Tamron placed her hands together, choosing her words carefully. I spent a great deal of time preparing for this interview. My team and I researched extensively. We crafted questions we thought would give you a platform to share your truth. Your version of my truth, you mean? Meghan shot back. These questions, they're designed to fit me into a neat little narrative. The Duchess who left. The American who couldn't handle royal life. The woman who broke protocol. That's what you want, isn't it? That's not what I want at all, Tamron said firmly. What I want is to give you space to tell your own story in your own words. Meghan stood up suddenly, and the camera operators scrambled to adjust. My own words? Really? Because your producers made it very clear that certain topics were off limits. Certain people I couldn't mention. Certain truths I couldn't speak. Tamron remained seated, her voice calm. Those weren't restrictions. Those were legal considerations that protect everyone involved, including you. Protect me? Meghan's voice rose. I don't need protection from you or your show. What I need is for people to stop trying to control my narrative. The host stood now, meeting Meghan at eye level. No one is trying to control anything. We invited you here as a guest. We prepared thoughtful questions. We created an environment where you could speak freely within reasonable boundaries. If that's not what you want, then perhaps we should end this conversation. Oh, so now you're threatening me? Meghan said, her voice sharp. I'm not threatening anyone, Tamron said, her tone still professional despite the provocation. I'm simply stating that if this interview isn't working for you, we don't have to continue. Meghan crossed her arms. Typical. The moment someone pushes back against your format, against your rules, you want to shut it down. That's not what's happening here, Tamron replied. What's happening is that you came on this show with what seems like an agenda to be combative. I've been nothing but respectful to you. Respectful? Meghan's laugh was harsh. You call this respectful? Sitting here with your rehearsed questions and your fake smile, pretending you care about anything other than your ratings? The audience gasped. Tamron's expression hardened, though her voice remained controlled. My smile is not fake. My interest in your story is genuine, and I've built my career on integrity, not exploitation. Integrity, Meghan repeated, mockingly. Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm standing, this looks like every other talk show trying to profit off my name. Tamron took a step back, her jaw tight. You know what? I've sat across from hundreds of guests. I've interviewed people who've been through unimaginable trauma, incredible triumphs, devastating losses, and every single one of them, regardless of their status or fame, has been treated with dignity on this show. Are you saying I'm not treating you with dignity? Meghan challenged. I'm saying you walked in here with hostility, Tamron said, her voice rising slightly for the first time. You've insulted my show, my questions, my professionalism. You've made assumptions about my intentions without giving this conversation a real chance. Meghan's eyes flashed. Maybe because I've learned not to trust people like you. People like me? Tamron repeated, her composure cracking just a bit more. What exactly does that mean? People who pretend to be allies, but are really just looking for a story, Meghan said. People who smile to your face and then twist your words the moment you leave. Tamron shook her head. I have never twisted anyone's words. My reputation speaks for itself. Ask any guest who's been on this show. Ask them if they felt exploited or disrespected. Oh, I'm sure they all have lovely things to say, Meghan said sarcastically. But they're not me. They haven't been through what I've been through. You're right, Tamron said, her patience clearly wearing thin. They're not you. But that doesn't give you the right to come on my show and treat me like I'm beneath you. The words hung in the air. Meghan's face flushed. Excuse me? You heard me, Tamron said, standing her ground. From the moment you arrived, you've acted like being here is some kind of burden. Like my team and I aren't worthy of your time. You've been dismissive, condescending, and frankly rude. I've been honest, Meghan countered. There's a difference between honesty and cruelty, Tamron said, and right now, you're crossing that line. Meghan grabbed her microphone pack. I don't have to sit here and be lectured by you. You're absolutely right, Tamron said, her voice steady again. You don't have to be here at all. You agreed to this interview. You knew what kind of show this was. If you didn't want to have a genuine conversation, why did you come? Because my team thought it would be good for my image, Meghan said coldly. But clearly, they were wrong. Tamron's eyes widened. So this was all just a performance for you? Just another box to check off? Everything is a performance, Tamron, Meghan said. Surely you know that by now. This show, this interview, your concerned host routine. It's all theater. My concern is real, Tamron said, her voice thick with emotion now. When I invite someone on this show, I genuinely care about their story. I want to understand them. I want to give them a platform. That's not theater. That's my life's work. Meghan rolled her eyes. How noble of you. The sarcasm was the breaking point. Tamron straightened her shoulders, her decision made. I think we're done here. What? Meghan said, surprised. I said we're done, Tamron repeated, louder this time. I've tried to be patient. I've tried to be understanding. But I will not stand here and let you mock me, my show, or my intentions. This interview is over. Meghan laughed, but it sounded forced. You're kicking me off your show? I'm ending an interview that should never have started, Tamron said. You didn't come here in good faith. You came here looking for a fight, and I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. This is unbelievable, Meghan said, looking around as if searching for support. You invite me here, you ask me invasive questions, and then you throw me out when I don't play along? I asked you fair questions, Tamron said firmly. Questions you never even gave me a chance to ask because you started attacking from the moment the cameras turned on. Meghan grabbed her bag from beside the chair. Fine, I don't need this anyway. I don't need you or your little show. Little show, Tamron repeated, and for the first time, real anger crept into her voice. Millions of people watch this show every day. People who are looking for real conversations, real connection. People who deserve better than watching someone use this platform to air their grievances and insult their host. Oh, please, Meghan said, heading toward the exit. Those people will forget about this interview the moment it's over, just like they forget about all your other guests. Tamron followed her toward the stage exit. You're wrong about that. But more importantly, you're wrong about why you're leaving. You're not leaving because I kicked you out. You're leaving because you can't handle an environment where you're not in complete control. Meghan whirled around. You don't know anything about me. I know enough, Tamron said. I know that you had an opportunity here today to share your perspective, to connect with people who might actually understand what you've been through. But instead, you chose to be defensive and hostile. That's on you, not me. I chose to protect myself, Meghan said. Something you clearly can't understand. Protecting yourself doesn't require tearing other people down, Tamron said quietly. That's something my mother taught me a long time ago. Meghan's expression hardened. Well, good for your mother. Not all of us had such perfect upbringings. Tamron's face showed genuine hurt now. That's a low blow, and you know it. Is it? Meghan challenged. Or is it just more honesty that you can't handle? There's nothing honest about weaponizing personal pain to hurt someone else, Tamron said. That's just cruelty. Meghan adjusted the strap of her bag. Call it whatever you want. I'm leaving. Then leave, Tamron said, gesturing toward the exit. But know that when you walk out that door, you're proving everything your critics have said about you. That you can't handle real dialogue. That you only want to be heard, not to listen. That you expect special treatment everywhere you go. Meghan's face turned red. How dare you? How dare I what? Tamron said, her voice rising again. Tell you the truth? Isn't that what you claim to want? Honesty? Well, here it is. You came on the show acting like you were doing us a favor. You insulted my team, my work, and me personally. And when I tried to maintain some dignity and professionalism, you mocked that too. I mocked your pretense, Meghan corrected. There is no pretense, Tamron nearly shouted, then caught herself. She took a breath, lowering her voice. I am exactly who I appear to be. I care about this work. I care about the people who watch. I care about creating a space for honest, meaningful conversations. That's not an act. Meghan looked at her coldly. If you say so. I do say so, Tamron said. And someday, when you're ready to have a real conversation instead of a confrontation, my door is open. But until then, I think it's best if you go. Oh, I'm going, Meghan said. Trust me, I have no intention of ever coming back to this ridiculous show. That's your choice, Tamron said, maintaining her composure despite the insult. But before you do, I want you to think about something. Every person you meet isn't your enemy. Every interview isn't an ambush. Every question isn't an attack. Sometimes people genuinely want to understand. They want to help. They want to listen. Meghan paused at the edge of the stage. Is this another lecture? It's an observation, Tamron said. From someone who's been in this industry for a very long time. Someone who's learned that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Someone who knows that burning bridges doesn't keep you warm at night. How poetic, Meghan said dryly. It's practical, Tamron countered, because one day you might actually need allies in this business. You might need people who are willing to give you a fair shake. And if you keep treating everyone like they're out to get you, you'll find yourself very alone. Meghan's jaw clenched. I'd rather be alone than surrounded by fake people. And I'd rather be surrounded by real people who know how to treat others with basic respect, Tamron shot back, even when they're having a bad day, even when they're frustrated, even when they disagree. Are you finished? Meghan asked icily. Almost, Tamron said. One more thing. When you leave here today, my team is going to have to figure out how to fill this time slot. They're going to have to scramble to find replacement content. They're going to have to explain to our viewers what happened. And through all of that, I'm not going to badmouth you. I'm not going to call you names or question your character publicly. Because that's not who I am. Meghan raised an eyebrow. How very noble of you. Should I applaud? You should think about what kind of person you want to be, Tamron said softly. Because right now, you're not showing your best self. And I don't think this is really who you are deep down. I think you're hurt and defensive and tired of being judged. I get that. But taking it out on people who are trying to help isn't the answer. You don't know what the answer is for me, Meghan said. You're right, I don't, Tamron agreed. But I know what the answer isn't. And it isn't this. It isn't walking around with armor so thick that nothing good can get in either. Meghan looked away. I need that armor. Maybe you did once, Tamron said gently, but maybe not anymore. Maybe not here. This was supposed to be a safe space. That's what I try to create for everyone who sits in that chair. Well, it didn't feel safe, Meghan said quietly, and for the first time, there was a crack in her. Defensive wall. Tamron softened slightly. Then I'm sorry for that. Truly. If something I said or did made you feel unsafe, that was never my intention. Meghan shook her head. It's not you. It's just everything. Every interview feels like a trap waiting to spring. I understand that feeling, Tamron said, but you can't live your whole life waiting for the trap. Sometimes you have to trust that not everyone is trying to catch you. Meghan looked at her for a long moment. Then the wall came back up. Easy to say when you're not the one being hunted. I never said it was easy, Tamron replied. I said it was necessary. There's a difference. Meghan adjusted her bag again. I really need to go. Then go, Tamron said, not unkindly. But think about what I said. And if you ever want to try this again, for real this time, You know where to find me." Meghan didn't respond. She just turned and walked toward the exit, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. The studio crew stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Tamron remained on stage, watching her leave. Just before Meghan reached the door, she paused and turned back. "You really think you're different from all the others, don't you?" Tamron met her gaze steadily. "I think I try to be fair. I think I try to be kind. I think I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Whether that makes me different or not isn't for me to say." "It doesn't," Meghan said coldly. "You're all the same in the end." And with that, she pushed through the door and was gone. The sound of it closing echoed through the silent studio. Tamron stood there for a moment, processing what had just happened. Then she turned to face the cameras, which were still rolling. "Well," she said, her voice steady despite everything. "That didn't go as planned." The audience remained quiet, shocked by what they'd witnessed. Tamron walked back to her chair and sat down, smoothing her dress. "I want to say something to everyone watching," she began. "What you just saw was difficult. It was uncomfortable. It was not the conversation I hoped to have today. But it was real." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Sometimes interviews don't work out. Sometimes people come with expectations that can't be met. Sometimes there's just a disconnect that can't be bridged, no matter how hard you try. And that's okay. It's disappointing, but it's okay." Tamron looked directly into the camera. "I want you to know that I never take it lightly when someone trusts me with their story. I prepare. I care. I try to create an environment where people feel heard and respected. That doesn't always mean people will feel comfortable. It doesn't always mean they'll agree with my questions or my approach. But it does mean I'm always coming from a place of genuine interest and respect." She took a breath. "What happened here today? I take responsibility for my part in it. If there was something I could have done differently to make this conversation more productive, I'll reflect on that. But I also know that I can't control how other people show up. I can only control how I show up. And I showed up today the same way I always do, with honest intentions and an open heart." The audience began to applaud softly, then louder. Tamron smiled, though her eyes were still sad. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for being here today and witnessing this with me. It's not always pretty, this work we do, but it's always real, and that matters to me more than anything." She stood up, signaling the end of the segment. "We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our scheduled programming. Thank you for your patience and understanding." As the cameras cut away, Tamron finally allowed herself to exhale fully. Her producers rushed over, concerned and apologetic. She waved them off kindly. "It's fine," she assured them. "These things happen. Let's just move forward." But inside, she was still processing the confrontation, still wondering if there was something more she could have said or done, still hoping that maybe, somehow, the message had gotten through, despite all the defensiveness and anger. The stage manager approached. "That was handled incredibly well, Tamron. Seriously, you kept your cool the whole time." Tamron nodded, accepting the compliment, even though she didn't quite feel it. "Thanks. It wasn't easy." "No one said it would be," the stage manager replied, and that was the truth of it. This work, this career she'd built on honest conversations and authentic connections, it was never meant to be easy. But it was meant to matter. And today, despite how it had ended, she believed it still did. In the green room earlier, before the cameras had started rolling, there had been another telling moment. Tamron had knocked gently on the door, entering with her usual warmth. "Just wanted to check in before we start," Tamron had said. "Make sure you have everything you need." Meghan had looked up from her phone with visible annoyance. "I'm fine." "Great," Tamron had continued. "I just want you to know that we're really excited to have this conversation today. Meghan had put her phone down slowly. Will they just judge me like everyone else does? Tamron had paused, sensing the tension. I hope they'll listen with open minds. Easy for you to say, Meghan had muttered. What do you mean? Tamron had asked gently. You're not the one under the microscope constantly, Meghan had said. You're not the one who has to watch every word because people are waiting for you to mess up. Tamron had sat down. I understand that pressure. This industry can be brutal. Meghan had laughed without humor. You have no idea. Then help me understand, Tamron had said. That's what today is about. Meghan had stood up abruptly. I don't need people to understand. I need them to leave me alone. Then why are you here? Tamron had asked. Because apparently I don't have a choice, Meghan had snapped. Because my image needs fixing. Because I have to perform for the masses. That conversation should have been a warning sign, but Tamron had chosen to hope for the best. She had been so very wrong. Back on stage now, after the dramatic exit, Tamron found herself replaying every moment. Her producer approached. You did everything right. Did I? Tamron asked. Because it doesn't feel that way. You were professional and patient, the producer said. You gave her every opportunity. Tamron nodded slowly. The show had to go on, and she had a job to do.